Hi, I'm Jeremy. Welcome to my workshop. Today I'm working on a set of dining chairs, and I've been following a lot of the instruction that Brian Boggs, the famous chair maker in Asheville, North Carolina, he's really pioneered a lot of bandsaw techniques that greatly simplify and solve a lot of problems in cutting complex curves, especially as you know, chairs have curves everywhere, and the problem you run into is a lot of grain runout. And so his technique that he's been developing over however many years utilizes the bandsaw to cut those curves in such a way that the finish coming off the saw itself would only require minimal sanding or a little bit of hand plane work. You could probably follow it up with a router or shaper to get a smoother surface off of that if you don't like those options. But what I wanted to show you today is how I've been taking what I'm learning from him and incorporating it into my own processes. So let me bring you in closer to show you what I'm working with, and then how I've taken the lessons he's teaching and applying it to this project. So this is one of the chairs I have dry fit together. What I've started with in the beginning of my chair is the joinery. So I figured out the shapes that I wanted to create, and then cut the angles that I needed to arrive at the right widths of the chair, the heights, and then so that the angles that I've cut complement the curves that I'm going to be cutting into this. So it's, as you can tell, quite ugly right now because it has no shaping at all. But if we look in closer, we can see how the front rail has a big angle, which angle displays out the front legs. And then we taper back to the back of the seat, and then the back legs have a 10-degree angle, of course, on both sides. So what this allows us to do is it makes the chair look a little more refined, that as the chair tapers to the back, we also kind of angle in those back legs, and that angle complements the curve of the rear seat and the crest rail. I'm now moving on to shaping this. So this one has not been shaped yet, and then I have one here beside it where you can see it has a nice curve to the front. And because I've already angled the joint there on that front rail, the legs themselves are already angled as well, and I simply came up with a curve that dies into that angle pretty close. It's not perfect, but it's close enough that by the time I finish sanding, it's going to look like the whole front of the chair has a curve on it. So what I have here, or the real lesson that Brian has taught me, is about having two complementary jigs that contains an arc in it. And this is not a parabolic arc. This is a continuous radius. So I happen to choose a 44-inch radius for this chair. I just found that on the back of the chair, if I angle the legs at 10 degrees, a 44-degree radius dies into that 10-degree angle really well on the back legs. And so I've just kind of run with that. All of the parts I'm going to cut in this chair, every curve in it is going to have a 44-degree radius cut into it. Now some of those are going to get cut into it where the radius is in the center of the cut. And then a few of the parts, like on the side rails, I want to shift that radius where it favors one end of the component more than the other. But the radius itself is still the same. But I can make it look like there's a parabolic curve cut into that component, still using a fixed radius. And I'll show you that later on. But the component I'm cutting right now is that the front rail of the chair. And the front rail of the chair is going to get a radius cut into the front of it, as you just saw. So it's going to get a radius cut here on the front of the rail, and it's also going to get a radius cut off the bottom. So it's going to get shaped in two directions. And again, it's a 44 inch radius on that curve. So what I have here is a set of complementary jigs. One jig is meant to hold the component, and the other jig simply guides the sled. And the way it works is that because these are a perfect radius, they fit together, and then as they slide by one another, it moves the component through the blade at a perfect radius. And as Brian has taught in his lessons, the real key here is that the front of the blade be perpendicular to the radius, so that you're not bending the blade sideways, but we're feeding the stock into the blade straight. So if you come around here, you'll see I've marked a center line. When I made these arcs, I drew a center line and I just worked off that center line the whole time. So I know that this arc is 90 degrees to that center line. And then in the back of this jig, I saved my offcut back there so that I can move the jig square to the blade via the fence. Okay, because I'm actually going to end up using the back side of this jig because it has the convex template on this side. I'm going to flip this whole thing around and also use this as a guide. So I just saved my offcut so I could keep my guides square to the fence and the blade. So the other thing that I realized as I was making this is this is my guide portion of the jig, but the reason that it starts out on the sled is because for me is that both of my components have a flat face. I have a flat surface on the back and the front. So the very first cut needs to be radiusing the front of this. But once I radius the front of this, the component itself can now act as a guide. And so I realized that if I simply take my offcuts from making my jig, stack them up, and have that same radius, now the component itself can just ride on this radius to cut the inside curve. Let me run a component on the front side so you see that, and then we'll maybe reset the fence and run the inside cut, and you can see how all of these jigs actually work in creating the part. So now that we've cut the front of our front rail and the back of our front rail so that we have a flowing arc on that. Now what I want to do, so you can see here, the back arc just followed the front arc. As I want to shape the bottom of the component now. And so that's where when I made my form, I simply took my radius template and did the convex side on this and the concave side on the other. And so this gives me the ability to flip both my guide form and my sled to cut both two different, the convex and concave sides. So I'm just going to place my component now on the opposite side of the jig. I have flipped around my guide, so now my guide has the concave side out and my sled is going to be the convex side, or vice versa. Sorry, I said that backwards. But I'm going to put my component here on the other side of my sled, and now we're going to follow this form in the opposite direction. So let's take a look at how that works, and then we'll have a completely shaped part in just a few seconds. Alright, so let's see how we did. If you can remember before, we were talking about how I'm radiusing that front rail. So if you remember before, I was going to radius the front rail to kind of blend into the angles that I've cut at that leg joint. And you can see from the top now, you can really see how the whole front portion of the chair is now radiused. So I left on the bandsaw just a little bit of extra material on that front rail so that I could come back. I'm actually going to send it through my shaper because I have a cutter head that can cut 3 inches. Some of the other components are a little too tall for that, but at least for this I can get a really smooth surface off the shaper. And then right over here on the leg, I'm going to kind of just blend that curve into the front portion of that leg, and this will all look like one component. And then from the front, we can now, let's focus in here. So now from the front, you can see I have a nice gentle curve on the bottom. And then when I shape the legs, I'm going to put a very similar curve on the leg, thinning that leg way down. So I started out with my legs at close to 3 inches thick so that I could get a lot more shape out of the leg. I'll be able to taper it down really nice and you'll really be able to see that shape. So I hope this was informative. I really enjoyed learning the techniques that Brian Boggs is sharing, and I just wanted to show you how You can take those same things. It's not beyond you. I'm not a master woodworker by any means, but every technique that I can add to my toolbox makes me better and better. So I know if I can do it, you can do it. I just want to say thanks to Brian for sharing all of his knowledge and all the years that he's spent perfecting the techniques. And in a day and age where we've got the internet and YouTube and social media, it's really awesome to be able to use that for good. So I really appreciate that, and I hope everyone out there gives this a shot. Thanks a lot. See you next time.